A bright student has to keep lonely older women company to stay in school. At Moore Prep in California, Sam arrives via a cab. As he takes his bags out of the truck, a female student passes by him and looks at him curiously. Just then, Headmaster Dan calls out the new student. In his office, Dan reviews Sam's performance. He notes Sam's impressive grades and writing portfolio, but also mentions that Sam was expelled from several boarding schools due to issues with authority. Sam argues that he's a victim of circumstance and even wrote his story in a journal to prove it. To begin with, he was caught using his mom's herbal medicine, so he was removed and transferred to a military school. There, he hacked the school's mainframe to play rickrolls and was next sent to an all-men's school. In the months that followed, he did excessive partying, which led him to get lost for a weekend, only to be found in Canada 3 weeks later. This got him kicked out again, and in the next school, he got a bit too close with a teacher's aide. After getting expelled from that school, it was his mother's turn to get close with the faculty. Thus, at present, he landed on Moore Prep. Sam justifies the last incident, explaining that his mother used to be a model for alluring magazines, something Dan is already aware of. The headmaster defends that the woman is a nice lady, even though she can be unhinged. As the student explores the office, he discovers that Dan used to hang out with rock stars. In his youth, the headmaster went wild like Sam did, so he empathizes with the student. With that in mind, he invites Sam for a campus tour. The man tours Sam around the school before taking him to his dorm room. There, Dan warns him about his roommate who uses a makeshift toy for nightly comforts. He also sternly advises him to keep his grades up and stay out of trouble, determined to keep the bright student in line. Once classes start, however, Sam immediately gets into a fight with Sean at the gym. Dan intervenes, and the two students blame each other. Luckily, Dan sides with Sam given that Sean is a senior for the 5th year and has the worst record on campus. With that, the headmaster sends the man to his office. Unbeknownst to the headmaster, Sam threw the first punch, but he was trying to defend some students from the bully. Those students thank Sam and become his friends. In his room, Sam encounters his roommate Patrick, who hangs a provocative poster and gives him a coy smile, confirming the headmaster's earlier warning about Patrick's unusual habits. After classes, Sam discovers his new friends Teddy, Chuck, and Jimmy enjoying some recreational substances under a church entryway. He sits with them and learns that they know his mom's previous career. Each of his friends share their own awkward parental problems, like how Jimmy's dad has a big-time male fraudster for a partner, while Teddy's dad is distant from him just because he thinks his son's style is lame. Finding something else to do, they go out into Main Street where Jimmy notices some ladies, hoping he could talk to them. Sam encourages him to do so, but his new friends are nervous around women. Just then, Sam spots the lady he saw during his arrival. Curious, he follows the woman into a cafe. After some dry pleasantries, the woman recognizes him and introduces herself as Courtney and her friend as Angie. However, she clarifies that Angie isn't really her friend and jokes about having intimate sessions with a woman, making Sam laugh. Courtney then gets a call about her mom needing to be picked up from the police after spitting on a bartender's face. Sam relates since he thinks his mother can be maddening too. Having something in common, Courtney gives him her number and invites him to meet up next weekend. After the women leave, Sam's friends join him, marveling at his charms with women. The next day, while Sam is presenting in class, the headmaster summons him to the office. Upon arriving, Sam dryly regales about the lady he met and acing his presentation, but Dan interrupts him. He got a call from Sam's mother, saying she can't pay for his school anymore. This breaks Sam's heart, but he acknowledges he had a good run, seemingly used to being expelled. Despite this, Sam stays in town for his date with Courtney, only for her to not show up. Sam tries to drown his sorrow in a bar that night, but the bartender won't let him without an ID. An older woman named Allison vouches for him, and he invites her to a table to thank her. Both of them are apparently having a rough night as Allison learned that her husband cheated for the second time and heard it from the other woman. Sam consoles her, assuring her that she's beautiful. Allison laughs even though it sounded insincere, but this leads to them spending the night together in her suite. After their night together, the couple bask in their satisfaction, though Allison feels a bit guilty since Sam is a student. The man then corrects her, saying he's not a student anymore since he can't pay for his school. Because of this, Sam discovers that Allison left him a note and a check for $500 the next morning. He later shares this with with his friends, who are in disbelief at what happened to him that night. Interested, Jimmy asks if Allison has any friends that can hook up with them and be paid like Sam. He ventures that if they do this enough times, they'll all get some action and have enough money to pay Sam's tuition. Meanwhile, Dan is negotiating with the school's treasurer to get Sam a scholarship. The treasurer rejects since they're in a recession, but the headmaster argues that the man is a good student. Suddenly, a teacher interrupts their argument, saying Sam is back and can pay his tuition. Later, Sam calls Allison for another date while Jimmy keeps reminding him to tell her about their plan, unable to hold his excitement. He even justifies that it's not just to gain experience with older women, but to help Sam get the money. During this, Allison is with her friend Judy, who's clearly as interested in this as Jimmy is. Just then, Dan visits them, worried that they're doing something questionable for the money. Chuck lies that his father hired them part-time at his tech company, and Jimmy even gives the headmaster a down payment for Sam's tuition, assuring him that they're working together for their friend. Despite his suspicions, Dan places his faith on Sam and welcomes him back to the university. However, he reminds the student that whatever they're doing, they better make sure to keep it clean. In Allison's place, she and her friends debate if they should go through with the group date. Judy wants in on the action, but Mary is against it because it could get them in trouble. However, Judy argues that Allison already did it with Sam and gave him a check. The guilty woman insists that it was just to help the student, but Judy convinces them that they need this, and her friend Dominica agrees. The students and the women soon prepare for their group date. They all gather in a hotel and start to mingle. Things get awkward at first, but they soon start pairing up. Jimmy flirts with Judy, Mary starts liking Chuck, and Dominica is already smitten with Teddy. The men soon take their ladies to their room for some private time, and all of them find their night satisfying. That morning, the men wake up from their night of debauchery with money and give them to Sam. Meanwhile, Judy shares her experience to her yoga class friends, spreading the word. Back at the university, Jimmy discovers a website that caters to dates with older women, so he soon recruits Patrick, among others, to expand their business. From there, the men begin meeting different older women and experiencing more exciting things, including one involving leather and a whip. One night, Courtney is with Angie and her date when they see Sam behind a liquor store. Sam assures them he's not up to anything, just as another man approaches him with a bag of booze. Seeing the other pair needing some privacy, Angie and her date leave. With them away, Courtney apologizes for flaking on their supposed date last time. Sam brushes it off, but she rambles about her struggles with her drunk mom, who's getting in trouble with her father, so Courtney and her brother had to deal with her. She then asks what the booze is for, but Sam dodges the question. Feeling left out, Courtney leaves, but Sam stops her and makes up a weak excuse about cheering up his friend. She calls out on his lies, so Sam just reassures her it's nothing worth knowing. Despite all these, Courtney is still interested in him, so she asks him out on a breakfast date, which he happily agrees to before leaving. The interaction with her leaves Sam distracted during his time with Allison later, leaving him unable to perform. He worries about how Allison feels about him dating someone else, and this pushes her away since she doesn't want any strings attached. Disappointed and a bit heartbroken, she leaves. The next day, Sam and Courtney meet for breakfast and hit it off, resulting in more dates in the following weeks. However, this makes Sam wonder what he really wants with a lady. One day at the university church, he writes his notes quietly when Dan turns the lights off, having not seen Sam. The headmaster is surprised to find him in a place of worship, so he asks how the work has been since he received a check for his tuition. Sam lies about having to drive Chuck's work associates, and Dan seems to buy it. He then invites him to have dinner with his family sometime before leaving him be. Meanwhile, at Allison's son's birthday party, a tipsy Judy, Mary, and Dominica talk about their experiences in the hotel meetups, suddenly interested in exploring more options in men. Judy then spots Allison, who hasn't attended the meetups for a while. Allison says she doesn't want to go to cheap hotel meetups anymore, so Judy informs her that they expanded to a rental house. That night, as Sam and their recruits are boarding a bus for their nighttime job, Dan calls him and invites him for a motorcycle ride to talk. As they drive through a busy road, Dan asks him to quit his job since he secured a scholarship for him. He strong-armed the board and the staff to get it so that his favorite student could quit his job. Sam is surprised and sighs in relief. thinking he was in trouble. So Dan asks him if he really was in trouble. In a back room somewhere, Jimmy hands out white uniforms to his recruits, explaining how their clients want youth and purity. Sam arrives and talks to his friends, telling them to shut their operation down. Teddy and Chuck agree, saying how destructive this has become to them. However, Jimmy fights for it, saying it's their chance to earn big money. Despite this, the others think they should quit while they're ahead, so Jimmy bargains to do so after tonight's meetup. With no choice, they all agree. Just then, Sam hears a knock on the back door and opens to reveal Courtney. In shock, he rushes out the door to ask her what she's doing there. Courtney explains she was walking her dog when she saw her mom go through the same door. She then returns the question to Sam, and he lies that Chuck's parents are here for bingo night and he's helping out. Courtney offers to help too, but he diverts her away and invites himself to her house since it's nearby. This leads the two to make out in Courtney's bed, only for Sam to see the family pictures on her nightstand. Seeing Dan and Sean in the photos, Sam gets confused, so Courtney confirms that she's the headmaster's daughter and the bully is her brother. Courtney just assumed he knew since everyone in school does. This makes Sam nervous, more so when he finds Judy amongst her photos. He doesn't mention that he recognizes the older woman too, though the weight of the connections and his suspicious operation sinks in, making him freeze just as Courtney asks to do the deed. Not wanting to waste the opportunity, Sam shakes off his thoughts and just enjoys his first evening with the lady. That morning, however, Dan wakes the couple up and Judy also arrives. The man caught his wife in the party with Jimmy, so he questions if Sam was related to what his friends were doing. This surprises Courtney, but she still defends Sam, saying he was with her the entire night, hence why they're in bed together. Dan accepts it and takes his wife to talk privately, leaving the younger couple be. As soon as they're gone, Courtney demands the truth from Sam, but he continues dodging her question, clearly ashamed of what he'd done. Pissed, the woman decides that she can't trust him, so she throws him out of her house. Sam returns to the rental home to see his buddies and Jimmy apologizes for messing it all up. Sam consoles him, saying they all messed up. While Sam aimlessly wanders the streets, he passes by Allison, who's with another man. The woman hints that she found another companion and moved on, though she notices Sam's sullen look. Worried, she asks where he's going, but the man admits that he doesn't know yet. That night, he tries calling Courtney, but she ignores him. Later on, Sean breaks into his room and beats him up for breaking his sister's heart. The man is also pissed that his father favors Sam over him. After this event, the devastated man heads to Dan's office and admits to the operation and how guilty he felt when he got the scholarship. He explains that he wasn't aware that Courtney was his daughter and that Judy was his wife until that night. He admits that they did the jobs to pay for his tuition, but in reality, Sam felt guilty about it since the first night. He tried to stop it when the headmaster announced his scholarship, but he was convinced to do it for one last night. However, he confesses that if Dan didn't find his friends, they'd likely continue the operation after that night. Sam claims he wanted to confess to Dan and Courtney before, but he just felt lost. To his surprise, Dan invites him to relax and reveals to his anguished friend that he knew what was happening all along. Instead of being angry, the headmaster points out that Sam didn't know Courtney was his daughter and he's not the one who did it with Judy. He also understands that the student did what he needed to do to stay in the university. His sympathy gets Sam confused, so he pointedly asks if he's going to get expelled. Dan then reveals that Sam's friends took the blame for the operation, saving him from expulsion. He's willing to overlook this event entirely because he feels that Sam's been kicked out from far too many schools and deserves a proper education. With that, he tells him that his scholarship is safe and that he retired this morning so he doesn't have to report Sam's involvement. However, Sam doesn't want to stay anymore because his friends are expelled and the one person who believes in him is retiring. The man assures him that he'll be fine, before cryptically instructing him to go take the JetBlue flight going out of Ontario when he goes home for school break. Without questioning this, Sam parts ways with the ex-headmaster, who was his savior from the very beginning. Soon at the airport, Sam snakes between the lines and finds Courtney on the same flight. He helps her with her bags while she reveals that she's heading to stay at her father's parents' home for the remainder of her school year. Realizing that Dan probably set them up to meet again, Courtney demands Sam's real story. With a second chance, Sam prepares himself to trust the truth with the woman he likes.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.